In this video, we will try to write a Spark job, a Scala Spark job inside AWS Glue that will migrate the data from S3 to RDS. But before writing that job, there is one thing that we need to do. So if we go for the S3, here inside this bucket, we have this data available. We also need to add something in this bucket. So there is a jar file that we need to make Spark communicate with the database. As I mentioned when we were working with the data frames, that you can specify multiple configurations, number of configurations while creating the Spark session. The considering and pointing to the jar file is one of them. So you can download this, but just by going for writing Postgres 42.2.18 or 19 based on your version, and it will take you to this page. Over here you can click on it and it will simply start downloading this. I have that, so I won't download it again. Now let's just take this from here, paste it inside this S3 bucket, upload it, and we are good to go. Next thing is we actually need some environment in AWS Cloud on which we can run or on which we can actually write our Spark code, our Scala Spark code, and then we can run it. That will consider the S3, that will consider the RDS and migrate the data. So let's just go for the Glue. So Glue is another AWS service that is mainly used for ETL and data migrations. So from the Glue, let's just go for the jobs. And here we will create our new job. So we will go for add job and the name of the job would be S3 RDS ETL. You can name it anything and let's just make it small caps, S3 RDS ETL. Over here is the IAM role. So IAM role, here I'm using this IAM role. I created this IAM role just to specify that this Glue job has access to these particular services. So when I was creating this IAM role, I just went through by attaching multiple policies to that role and then assigning that, okay, this role has access to S3 bucket, this role has access to RDS, this role has access to CloudWatch event for making the logs, and eventually it comprises with a final role that we need. So let's just select this role, and if you want to create, you can go for create IAM role, and over here you just simply need to go for create role. So we are basically we are writing a role for Glue. So let's just search for Glue, go for Glue, next permissions, and here we can simply attach policies to it. So what we have to do, we need to get S3 full access, check that. Then we need to get RDS full access, check that. And then we need to get CloudWatch full access. CloudWatch is basically the logging cloud or logging mechanism in the AWS. So just check that. And now we have all the services checked that we just checked over here. Now they are available for our role. Now if we just go for next and tags, over here if we want to specify tags, we can add tags, or we can just simply ignore that. Here we need to specify the role. So if I may go for, let's say, test ETL 123. So notice over here all these three policies are attached with the role that I just created, and this will be the name of my role. Same thing I replicated for Ahmed Glue RDS S3 for creating a new IAM role that has access to RDS, S3 and CloudWatch events. Next over here, the type is Spark. We really need the Spark when we are not going for Spark streaming or Python shell. We need the Spark. And for the version, we need to stand up for Scala. with improved job startup times. Click that. After that, we will write our script on our own. We don't really want AWS to write script for us. We will write script on our own. Next, Scala class name. So Scala class name is actually the name of the class or of the object in which you enclose your main. So we need to provide that over here so that the glue can identify that. So for that, let's just put glue app, and by default we use glue app for assigning a class name to the Scala. Next, let's just ignore this stuff. Ignore this stuff. The only thing that we need to worry about is this. Inside the security configuration, over here, we need to only get number of workers to 2. We don't really need it to provide 10 worker nodes. We just need to get the 2 worker nodes. So let's just go for 2, and now it will only provide us the 2 worker nodes. First one will be the actual the controlling or the master one, and the rest of the tools will be the slave nodes. It's just like creating clusters. So now we are actually assigning 2 clusters to our Spark job. Over here, we don't need to really change anything. Let's just go for next and save and edit script. Here, we can simply start writing our script. Let me just pause this video here and paste this code, and then we will get through the code together. Now we have our code written inside this IDE. Let me just zoom this in a bit for you so that you can see it properly. Let's just squeeze this down. Over here, the first thing that we are doing, we are just importing the Spark session, because as I mentioned earlier that whenever we want to work with the data frames, we want to create data frames, we use the Spark session. Then this glue app, we have to make sure that this name is exactly the same that we mentioned while creating the job, while creating the glue job, where we mentioned the Scala class name. Next is this main, that's exactly the same main. Now notice this thing. Over here, we are specifying the jar path. I'm telling it that it's present inside the S3 bucket. This is the name of the bucket, Scala Spark ETL, and this is the jar file which is present over here. So I'm referring to this jar file. Next, I'm just simply creating a Spark session. Plus, the only thing new for you over here is this stuff, that we are using .config, and here we are specifying that for the Spark jars, refer to this path which we just specified at the top. Now, while whenever this Spark data frames actually require some jar files, it will just go for this configuration. It will check that, okay, while creating this Spark session, I got this Spark jars. In the configuration, it will refer to this path, which is a S3 bucket. It will get over here, get this jar file, and start working with that. Over here in this line, what we are doing, we are actually reading data from the RDS. So we are saying Spark, then we are saying read, then option, we are stating that the header is true, and you know the reason why we are doing that. For next, we are specifying that this will be a CSV file. And over here, we just simply pointed that this is a S3 bucket, this is the name of the bucket, and this is the file from which we want to read data. So at this point, we are reading data from the S3 bucket. Next over here is df.show. What it will do, it will simply read the data and show it to the console. And this is exactly the same thing that we did in the previous videos while working with the data frame, that for reading, we use the Spark, read, then the option, then the CSV, and then we specified the location from where we want to read the data. While working with in the Databricks, we specified file store, tables, and the name of the file. Here we are specifying it as that I want to read data from S3, name of the bucket, and then the name of the file. Over here we are showing it, and then here where this is the line where the actual magic is happening. So we are saying data frame, this data frame in which we read data from the S3 bucket. This data frame, we are telling that we want to write it. We want to write in the format of JDBC. So JDBC stands for Java Database Communication, and it allows you to it allows Spark to communicate with the RDS. Over here, we need to specify the URL. So what's the URL? URL is the endpoint on which this RDS instance is running. So the pattern for writing the URL is JDBC colon Postgres if you are working with Postgres, or MySQL if you are working with MySQL, then colon, then forward slashes, and this is over here up till here. This is the endpoint of our RDS instance. So if we go over here in the RDS, and let me just zoom out and check for this DB instance. Over here, we are getting this endpoint, which is this, right? And we are referring to the same endpoint inside the glue job. Then the port on which this RDS is listening. So if we refer to it again, over here we are listing it. The RDS is listening on port number 5432. So we are referring to here. We are referring to that port over here. Next is the option. So the option stands for we want to specify the DB table in which I want to load the data. So what it will do, that if there is no table available, it will simply create a table with the name ETL data load, and it will load the data over there. Next options are we have to specify the username for this database. So here we know that the username, while creating this DB instance, we saw that our username for this database was Postgres, and we can also see it under configuration, and we can see this over here. The master username is Postgres. And at the time of creating, we also specified the password, and this is the password that I entered while creating my database. And now after the user, we are referring to this password, and then we are calling it .save to just write the data inside the database. Now let's just give it a go. So save that, and from here we can simply run it. It will actually take a couple of minutes for it to complete, and once it completes, we will then check that whether we are getting the data inside the database or not. So let me just run that. And meanwhile it's running, we can go for the glue console again, and we can create another glue job. We will write that glue job just to check that what we are getting inside the database. So in this glue job, we will read data from the RDS instead of S3, and then we will print out the data frame. So for that, let's just go for the glue again, and here we need to again follow the same pattern just like we did for creating the first glue job. Now let's just go for the jobs again, and as I mentioned, we will be following the same pattern. So add job, and inside this add job, we just need to specify the name. Let's just make it RDS checker. You can name it anything. For the IAM role, again I'm using the same IAM role because it has the access for the RDS, for the S3, for the CloudWatch event. Although we don't really have to do anything with the S3, but still it's a role and we can attach it, and it has our required policy, so we can use them. It would be of type Spark, and the glue version will be of Scala 2. Then we will write a new script. Then Scala class name. Over here again we will use the same glue app. Then as I mentioned earlier, we just need to take care of one thing over here, that the number of workers, we don't need 10 workers, we just need 2 workers. And then next, and save job and edit script. It will simply take us to the IDE again, where we can write our second job for checking that what the previous job is putting inside the RDS. Now, if we go for the previous job, it has been completed. Now there is no run job. What we can do, we can just scroll this up for seeing the logs. Here it just printed the data that it was getting. It was only getting the top 20 rows which it just printed. We don't really need to worry about the formatting, because that's how the glue prints the output. So just to make sure, go for the AWS again, and from here we need to go for the glue job and select our job, and then we will check that what's the status of our job, just to make sure that that job succeeded successfully. And for the jobs, and inside these jobs we will look for our created this one, S3 RDS ETL. Check on that, scroll this up a bit, and you will notice that status run is succeeded. So that means that our job went perfectly fine. It read the data from the S3, it loaded the data in the RDS, and our ETL pipeline worked perfectly fine. Now let's just see that what we are actually getting inside the RDS. We will read data from the RDS and we will display it over here. So again, I will just pause the video, paste this code over here, and then we will get through with the code together. So this is the code, and what this code is doing is kind of exact replica of the previous code. So here we are importing the Spark session because from the RDS we want to read data inside the data frame. Then we are creating the object glue app, and then inside this main we have specified the jar path in which our this jar file is present. Then we are creating a Spark session by providing the app name. We can specify the same app name again. Then the config, for the config we are specifying the Spark jars, and over here we are providing the path of the jar file. Next we are referring to get or create, and you know it that why we use get or create. Next is this, where the actual thing is happening. We are referring to Spark, then we are asking it to read in the format of JDBC with the options of URL, and over here we are providing the same URL that we provide in the previous code for reading the data from the RDS. Then we are specifying the DB table from which we want to read the data. Then we are specifying the username. Then we are specifying the password of the RDS database. And over here, instead of saving, now we are referring to load because we want to load data from the RDS to this data frame. And then we are simply going for df.show. Now let me just run that. So here you can see that we are getting the exact output from the RDS, which we saw in the previous code when we tried to display the data from the S3. So in the previous code, we read the data from the S3, we showed that data, and here we actually saw the same format. And then after showing that, we loaded that data inside the RDS. In this code, we are reading the data from the RDS just to make sure that we are getting the proper data inside the RDS, and then when we are printing it, we are exactly getting the same thing that we get while we read the data from the S3 bucket. So this is pretty much it from our side, and I really hope that you enjoyed working with Scala, working with Spark, and just a little bit of AWS. And still, I would say that this is just the tip of the iceberg for this part, and there are much more potential, much diversity available inside this Spark. So now you are actually capable to go out there, work on any Scala project and pull that off with great ease.